So my project is cDashboard. I'm working on it now. I worked on it last semester. I'll probably work on it next semester. So let's get right into it. So cDashboard is an overlay for Windows. It's written in C#. I've gone over what it is before at depth in my last presentation, so I'll talk a little bit. I'll be a little bit quicker about it. The big thing is it's an overlay that you can have sticky notes, pictures. That's completely separate from Windows. The inspiration for it was the Steam overlay that you have when playing games. It's a completely other interface that's kept separate. It's always easy to get to. So I think it's cool, it's fast, it's useful. Hopefully it's stable. We'll see about that later. So what are my goals? My goals are to expand what cDashboard can do while also maintaining an easy-to-use interface. You know, because not every user is a programmer like us who can look in those weird menus and figure things out. I also want the dash to only be there when you want it to be, and not intrude on your normal Windows experience. And once again, no crashing. We'll see. So what's new? Let's talk about some new things that I've added. So I keep adding these things that I like to call C forms. They're just additional forms that can be used on the dash. I use real-world experience, but some other people think, hey, it would have been cool if you had that. And so anyway, so this was one of those suggestions. This is something that I call C stopwatch. It's a stopwatch. It counts upward, and so that was the original way it worked, and that was it. And then someone told me, I hate to do the math to figure out how long ago it started, because once it gets really high, you don't want to do a Google search on how long is 17 days, 13 hours, and when was that? So anyway, so down below, it'll actually tell you when it was started, and that's the accuracy of it. It's hard to see it, but it's actually accurate to within a 10,000th of a millisecond. It goes within processor ticks. It's insane to think about. It's crazy. So what else is new? So I also added the ability to use a wallpaper. Wallpaper in Windows, you can have a picture, you can have a color. Previously, you can only have a color with the dash. Now you can have a wallpaper. And this is a common problem that I originally had in the wallpaper. You have an image that's too big and it just doesn't really come out right. So anyway, so I made it so that you can have a custom image layout. You can have it center, zoom, stretch, tile, and you can also then pick the side color, because now I just centered this image. It's not 16 by 9, so it doesn't, fit. So I made the side pink, and so you can do that too. A lot of customization. You can also do, this actually came of a question that I got in my last presentation about rich text editing within a C-sticky, a sticky note. And I had said that it's possible, but you really can't do it directly. So anyway, so I decided to make it so you can do it directly. Now you have keyboard shortcuts to do bold text, italics, underline, strike through. Strike through is really weird. I don't really know if there is a default strike through keyboard shortcut, at least in many editors. So I used Control-S because you don't need to ever click Control-S to save because everything's saved automatically on every change. So Control-S is strike through. So then this one was the one that took me the most time, and it's probably the most simple also. This is CPIC slideshow. Previously, CPIC was just it was a picture keyword. It was a picture that was on your dash. Now it also can do a slideshow. You can pick as many images as you want, and what it'll do is every time you go through, you open up the dash, it'll pick a random one and show it to you. Now the thing is, in the future, I'm probably going to change the way the random works. Right now it's actually random. So I get some interesting complaints about how they get the same image twice in a row somehow. That's really how random works if you think about it. So maybe I'll have to do some type of simulated random like I believe Windows does with wallpapers. It'll randomly generate an order and then go through it as opposed to randomly picking each time. So anyway, so that's the slideshow manager. So when you go to that, that shows you all the images that you have currently selected for the CPIC. You can delete, you can add. So you can completely manage what you want your CPIC to be like. So in addition, I'm just going to talk really quickly about some bug fixes that I went through. I know that they're not as interesting. The first one was the Alt F4 bug. This was basically if the dash was completely closed and you had nothing going on, if you clicked Alt F4, maybe to turn your computer off or do something else, it would close the dash unnecessarily. That bug is fixed. That was easy. Then there's this thing called the fade out bug, where you're probably going to see this bug today because this is something, I believe it's called a Heisen bug. I cannot catch this bug. Whenever I'm in Visual Studio and I debug line by line, this bug disappears. It works perfect. Then whenever I'm in a nice big setting where people want to see it work, it happens. So anyway, so basically the fade out doesn't occur properly. It cuts the fade. So I'm working on that. I hope to fix that. I tried several solutions. I'm going to try another one that I just thought of a few minutes ago. So anyway, so that's bugs. now let's do a quick demo. But before I do the demo, just so I don't have to go back to the PowerPoint slide, let me thank Morthy, Goldschmidt, Sean Sullivan, RCOS, everyone, just so I don't have to go back to the PowerPoint. So here we are in Windows. This is my beautiful wallpaper. And we click our keyboard shortcut, which is Control-tilde, and there's our dash with a nice MetroCard wallpaper. We have the time. Eventually we're going to make it so you can change the time color, because as you can see right now, it kind of gets a little funky here. You can't really see it as well. I think I'll make that an option relatively soon. So first things first, here's the image that we have. Let's go to Edit, Preferences. We have this nice cDash background option. So you can change the back color, which was the previous option, but you can also do the wallpaper image. We have an image now, but I don't really like how it's stretching. It's kind of blurry. It doesn't really look that right. I don't know, maybe I'm feeling kind of tile today. Yeah, I like how that looks. It's tile. I don't have that weird stretcho vision anymore. It works nice. So let's now look at what we did with C Sticky. Let's open up a Sticky using our keyboard shortcut. Let's make the font nice and big so that everyone here can read. So, hello, RCOS. So that's in plain, whatever default font Windows decided to pick. And let's just say, I don't know, I'm feeling that RCOS can be kind of bold today. Yeah. And I'm feeling hello can be italicized. And maybe this O should just be right through, I don't know. Maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, so rich text editing, built in. And so anyway, so that's what we've done with C Sticky. Let's go and look at a C stopwatch really quick. This one's really simple. Here's our C stopwatch. We click start, and now we're started. Whoops. And you can see that it just keeps track of when you did it. And you know, as always, you can go out of the dash, there's the bug, and you can fade back in, there it is. Keep going from the background. And while it's faded out, it's not actually wasting processor ticks. It actually waits for you to fade back up and then redoes the math, you know, in like a millisecond or whatever, and figures all that out for you. So that's a C stopwatch. Let's leave that just running in the corner for no reason. And now let's look at CPick. So when you open up a new CPick, it goes, hey, select your images. So I'm just going to select 2 different images, another MetroCards, this one. Yeah. And let's open. So now we have a random one of those 2 images. Let's do layout. The default is none. Let's do zoom, just so we can see the entire picture. So there we have that. And every time we fade in and out, we're going to get a different image if we're lucky, you know, because it's random. So eventually it's going to repeat. And that's an end user thing that they get kind of confused about randomness. So let's say, you know, maybe I don't want that other MetroCard picture. So let's show the slideshow manager. And now we can see both images and an ability to also add images. So I don't want this MetroCard one. Let's just delete it. Okay, it's gone. So now hide. And now every time we fade up, we're going to see this picture. So that's the update to CPick. Those are the updates to the cDashboard that I have so far this summer. Are there any questions?
I think it would be a cooler functionality for this exact thing if you simply made that for the background. So that every time you open up, it'll overlay the background.
That is a current lead working on feature. Yeah.
Also for the randomness thing, you should probably do like randomly shuffle a list of wallpapers.
That's exactly
that.
Yeah. That gets that pseudo random that people are used to.
And also the fade out is probably some sort of threading issue. I'd like to look into that. But like if you're firing it and then just exiting, you might want to fire it and wait for the fade out to exit and then exit the program.
It is a threading thing. I have a feeling of the way it works. Just to not go into too much detail, is it actually changes something about the background timer that runs, and so it catches that. The problem is sometimes when it changes that, I'm guessing a different thread or something else catches a different line of code that sets it back because it doesn't see that the fade out was called, and then it just sets visible to 0.
Yeah.
So it's something that I'm working on, and it will get fixed. No promises. It'll get fixed.
Can I watch a video in the cDashboard?
Not currently, but that's an interesting idea. The thing is, I'm not sure how useful video is, because you know that's something that you like sit there for and you want to watch. I'm not sure.
The thing is you want to watch, but when somebody else comes, you don't want them to watch.
Maybe even like a hidden web browser. That's something that can be done.
That's right.
I like that. It's good.
Highly technical documentary.
Yeah, as an addendum to that, you just local webpage next to that.
It's definitely possible.
So why add these individual features specific to this? I guess why not, or how hard would it be to load just some arbitrary application into a window on I guess this is the equivalent of a separate workspace.
It wouldn't be that, well, it wouldn't be that hard from a code standpoint. It's only a few lines of code just to add, especially if it's already an existing form. Huh?
It wouldn't be as easy to use? Is that
No. It's not something easy to implement cross-form to do. But I'm saying if you're looking at the code, you can add an arbitrary application from the code line and have that, make a button for that has that come up every time. But it's more difficult to just say, okay, this button, and then have a list of all running processes and say, capture this one, just because of the way things are all working differently. I mean, this is written in .NET. Something that's maybe written straight up in C++ might be harder to grab. It's something tough to do across the board. I mean, it's something I have looked into though, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, feature request for the background. I think it'd be really cool if you had it like just pan a little bit and like zoom in. So if you had like one of those high quality images from the NASA database or whatever, you just kind of have the dashboard pop up and then just have a slowly animated background or something. That'd be really cool.
That's cool. I'm gonna write that one down. That's actually really cool.
So I had a suggestion. I don't know how hard this is to do, but I think I remember you talking last time. You said it's kind of hard, but it's still like I think it'd be cool. Like, so like for what you're doing, kind of seems like an Android like widgets. Like Android widgets are kind of like what these seem like, but there's like the little windows around them, and like I feel like it would make it a lot sleeker if you didn't have like those. I don't know.
If I actually pulled up my oldest build, like as I began at RCOS, they didn't have those. I just found that it was much easier to use this way. It's more. I understand what you're saying. Maybe a future option can have them disappear, maybe. But as of now, this is the best way to do it. Just because people. I have my dad test these things sometimes. My dad, computer nut from 20 years ago. And he looks for these things like on the C stopwatch, the maximize button doesn't work because it doesn't really make sense as it is right now. And he kept pushing. He's like, "What was there? Why didn't?" That type of thing. I like familiarity.
And I've been follow up because does this work in Windows 8?
Yeah, this is Windows 8.
Okay.
This is, believe it or not,
it kind of reminds me of Windows 8.
Windows 8.
Okay.
Tricked ya.
I don't know if you've done any testing on this, but does it interact well with full screen applications?
Like a full screen, like Metro applications?
Well, let's say that I have like a video game up and it's full screen, I can't minimize it, but I want to use the dashboard, like you were saying, the same way Steam Overlay works.
The biggest problem with that right now, I have tried this, I've been playing my local tanks lately. The biggest problem is that sometimes the games go directly to the graphics card, so your key presses don't actually make it to a point where they would be read, per se. I have to look into the way that Steam does it some more, because they managed to do it. I'm not sure. Okay. Anything else?
Maybe for the having or not having like buttons on top, what you do is have it so, for example, the pictures which don't need to have the frame all the time. When you hover the cursor over it, it appears. Because pictures of all things would do really well if they could have transparent frames in the background, especially if you get animated GIF support, just have to be animated in the corner. You got a lot of fire to go.
That's actually I'm gonna look into that idea of having at least having the image doesn't really need a frame. It kind of takes you out of it. But then when you hover over, maybe it'd be nice then to be able to resize or whatever. Yeah, I'm going to look into that specifically. I like that.
What happens if you have the stopwatch running, change focus, change the systems?
What? I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
What happens if you have this stopwatch running, you change focus, and you change the systems lock and you switch that? Could it give a negative time?
Might get really confused, honestly. I'm not sure, honestly, because the way it does it right now is it goes based off the number of processor ticks since some date, the atomic date, I believe. I think you'll get a negative time. You'll either get a negative time or you'll go to positive. You said 6, so 6 p.m. It'll get a positive time. It'll get messed up. Yeah.
Maybe you could do it kind of the way a lap timer works, where it records a lap It'll create a list of.
Lap timer is on my list. Yeah.
Then,